Hi, welcome. I can't tell you how excited we are to have you here. I'm even more excited to just stop the music. It is my playlist, so if you like it, let me know. I'll share it on Spotify with everybody. I'm personally really excited to be here because it happens to be my 10-year anniversary at GreenBiz. And it's incredible how much GreenBiz, the company, has grown, but it's even more incredible how much the community of GreenBiz has really grown. And we're also at the beginning of a new decade, and I'm an eternal optimist, so new decades are really important and really symbolic to me, and I think as our industry. But more importantly, I think we're really actually at a significant inflection point. And if you think about the letter that Larry Fink sent out, it sends such a strong signal that institutional investors see climate as very real and not hypothetical. And then today, one of our great journalists, Katie Fehrenbacher, wrote a really interesting article about the other side of the money markets, the Valley. And the Valley really got clean tech terribly wrong. But they're really identifying now something that they're calling climate tech, which is really the trillion-dollar opportunity as you transition into a clean economy. And then the other thing I thought about watching the Super Bowl, which as a 49er fan wasn't really all that fun, but what was cool was more than 50% of the ads for automakers were for EVs, which essentially would be unthinkable 4 years ago. And all these things are really about alignment and how do we accelerate these transitions. And that's ultimately what GreenBiz, the company in this event, is all about. How do we accelerate the transition to a clean economy? I'm going to bring Ellie up in a second to talk about all the great things we have planned, but I want to make two announcements about other events that we have that we're super excited about. The first one we're announcing today is that we're deepening our relationship with REBA, the Renewable Energy Buyers Alliance. We've been running their REBA Summit in the fall for the last 3 years, right before our Verge conference. And in that spirit of alignment, we're actually going to integrate it directly into our Verge Energy Conference. And that's a really important step towards how do we create a bigger tent and get more people involved with renewables. And the renewables, this is a really interesting story because, let's see, in 2013, Bill Weil, when he was at Facebook, he did a panel at Verge, a workshop, and he invited the 4 NGOs that make up REBA before they were working together. And he said, look, you're all trying to work on renewables and increasing penetration, but you're not doing it in an aligned way. So they formed REBA as this, a constellation of these 4, which worked really well, but then they've gotten so big, they've now spun themselves out into their own organization run by Miranda Ballantyne. And if you are interested in renewables, you should definitely join that organization. It's great. So we're super excited about that. And the second thing that I want to announce is last year we launched our Circularity Conference, and it was tremendously successful. It sold out with 850 people. And I think in large part because of the great work of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And if you don't know Ellen MacArthur, you should. She's a woman who held the world record for circumnavigating the world solo in a sailboat. So a super badass, but she has really elevated the vernacular of circularity into the C-suite. So while we partnered last year, what we're doing is the same thing as REBA. They have a CE 100 conference that they run. We're going to integrate that directly into Circularity 20 in Atlanta. So enough about that. I'm going to bring Ellie Buechner on stage, and she also is sharing a 10-year anniversary with GreenBiz. And I can say unequivocally, GreenBiz, the company, would not be where we are today. And this event, GreenBiz, would not be here today without the incredible leadership of Ellie Buechner. Please welcome your host, Ellie.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to GreenBiz 20, and thank you so much for being here today. We are just so excited to be here with all of you. I feel so honored and privileged to be here with you, this group of smart, amazing people doing amazing things, many of which have never been done before, that are changing the world. It's great to be back here in Scottsdale hosting GreenBiz 20 at the Camelback in Paradise Valley. The last time we were here was in 2016, and we have nearly doubled in size since then, which is really incredible. I think that's a huge testament to the sustainability profession, the rising recognition of the urgency of the climate crisis, and the commitment from business that we really need to be doing more, not just mitigating negative environmental impacts, but having positive impacts as well. I think it's also really interesting to be here at the Camelback. They say here, we're where time stands still. And I think that J-Lo and Shakira have figured out how to make time stand still or maybe run in reverse, so good for them. But for most of us, that is definitely not the case. I think for us in particular as sustainability professionals and conference organizers, we feel the passage of time extremely strongly. We know that time is not slowing, not stopping, not rewinding, and not regenerating. So every moment here really counts. As Eric said, we are at the start of a new decade. We're a month into 2020, which is just unbelievable. So with that in mind, we're thinking about, what is it that we want to accomplish over the next 10 years? What do we want the world to look like in 2030 at the start of the next decade? How are we going to achieve those outcomes? And we can't make time stand still, but we can make our time here count. So I invite you, while you're here, to be present, to explore new ideas and new surroundings, hopefully get outside in nature if it's not too cold. Connect with your fellow attendees, make new friends, spend time with old ones, and really soak it all in so that when you go back to work next week, you have the tools, knowledge, and connections you need to lead with more urgency and action than ever before. I'd like to acknowledge also that in this race against time, we have to work together. We can't go it alone. So I want to thank all of the people and organizations that have come together to make GreenBiz possible, starting with our speakers. I'm so grateful to all the speakers who are going to be contributing their knowledge and expertise to this event over the next 3 days. I'm so excited for you to experience the program we've built, and we couldn't do it without them. So huge thank you to our speakers. I'd also like to thank our sponsors. These are some of the leading companies in sustainability with huge global reach, opportunity to enact huge global change. So they are really leading the way here. And you'll see the diversity of our sponsors coming from all different parts of the economy, from all different industries, really representing how we need to come together, and we need everybody to be creating a more sustainable future. I'd also like to thank our partners, our community partners, our convening partners, our host partner, ASU. Our convening partners host their meetings alongside this event, so we're so grateful to them for choosing to host their meetings here, helping us to maximize our time. And to our host partner, ASU, who's going to be hosting the celebration tomorrow. We've been partners since 2014, so the celebration is going to be great, and thank you to them. I'd like to also thank our sustainability partners who enable us to live our values and walk our walk, in addition to reflecting to what you'll see in the content this week. American Forest hosted a community tree planting this morning at a local school, enabling us to have a positive impact on the community here. Bonneville Environmental Foundation balances 100% of our water footprint. Natural Capital Partners offsets 110% of our carbon footprint. One Tree Planted is going to be planting 3 trees for every registered conference attendee this week, amounting to almost 4,500 trees. And our zero waste partners, Waste Management, TerraCycle, and Copia, last year helped us achieve a 99.5% waste diversion rate, so hopefully we can get to 100% this year, thanks to their help. And if you'd like to learn more about our zero waste program, you can attend the tour and panel that are going to be happening today at 3:45 p.m., leaving from the GreenBiz Lounge in the Paradise Ballroom. And of course, I'd like to thank all of you here today, all of you in the room and online, for being here, for the work you are doing, and for making your time here count. I'm really excited to introduce our next speaker, as we have, as I've acknowledged the people and organizations that have come together to make GreenBiz possible. I'd also like to acknowledge the place that we're in, the people of this place, and reflect not just on the future, but on the past and present as well. So here to lead us in a land acknowledgement is Jacob Moore, the Associate Vice President of Tribal Relations in the Office of Government and Community Relations at ASU. Please join me in welcoming Jacob to the stage.
Jacob Moore, Associate Vice President of Tribal Relations for Arizona State University. Lakota, Dakota, Akamiratam, Ani Tanatam. My name is Jacob Moore. I'm the Associate Vice President of Tribal Relations for Arizona State University. My mother is Lakota and Dakota from Montana, South Dakota. My father is Tanatam and Akamiratam, which is from southern Arizona. So I'm honored to be with you here today. So as mentioned, the part of my role is to really consider the indigenous land acknowledgement. If you've flown into the valley, you've seen the canal system that surrounds the valley. And it's interesting to understand that this is a system that is 700 miles of canals that were previously established in 700 AD by the Huakam, or their ancestors that came before us. And we acknowledge that the modern day our modern day tribal nations are descended from the ancestral people that they are original inhabitants of this land. What is a land acknowledgement? Land acknowledgement is a formal acknowledgement that recognizes and respects indigenous peoples of our traditional homelands as stewards of the land that have endured that relationship for really generations and for centuries, and indigenous people that we honor their traditional territories. So Arizona is situated on the traditional territories of many peoples indigenous to this land, including the Akamiratam and the Pipash, which are also known as the Pima and the Maricopa. We recognize the original inhabitants of these lands and the fact that they continue to reside throughout the region. We recognize the local tribal nations and people for their stewardship of the land and the water and the generosity to those that followed. We recognize the land as an expression of gratitude and appreciation for those whose territory hosts your annual meeting this week, and as a way to honor the indigenous peoples who have been thoughtful caretakers since time immemorial. It's fitting that GreenBiz 20 continues to carry forward these time-tested beliefs and understandings of our ancient ones. So welcome to the ancestral lands of 22 tribal nations. I hope that you have a great event and a blessed event. And thank you for inviting me for this time. Masapo, thank you.